Unapologetically Unseen by Alicia Lynch. Chapter 1: The War Within. If you continue to carry bricks from your past, you will end up building the same house. Unknown. If you grew up in a home that looked normal from the outside but felt confusing, unpredictable, or heavy on the inside, much of what follows may feel familiar. The house for a child. The world is not something distant. It is the home they grow up in. The voices they hear. The way they are spoken to, and the way they are not. It is the environment that teaches them what is safe, what is expected, and who they need to be. Long before they have the words to question it, they begin to learn who they are allowed to be, what parts of themselves are acceptable, what must be hidden, quiet, or changed. And over time, those lessons do not just shape behavior, they begin to shape identity. Home teaches a child what to expect from the world. From the outside, the house looked stable. The lawn was cut, the lights came on in the evening, and there were backpacks by the door, ordinary signs of family life moving from one day to the next. To neighbors, teachers, and anyone passing by, it looked like a place where life moved as it should. But houses can look stable long before anyone notices the cracks. A foundation can weaken quietly. Walls can hold tension long before they split. Floors can creak in ways the people living inside them learn to ignore. And children, more than anyone, learn quickly how to live inside structures that do not feel entirely safe. They learn which boards to step on and which ones to avoid. They learn how to move carefully. They learn to read the sounds of the house, the timing of it, the subtle shifts that signal something is changing. This is what it can feel like to grow up in a home shaped by addiction. From the outside, it may still resemble a family. There may be laughter, moments of love, and routines that make everything appear intact. But inside, the emotional foundation is unstable. A child may not have the language to describe this. They may not know the words for addiction, dysfunction, or emotional volatility, but they know what it feels like. They know the difference between a calm evening and the kind of silence that means everyone is bracing for something. They know the uncertainty of the sound of footsteps when a parent walks through the door. They recognize the meaning hidden in a tone of voice and how quickly warmth can turn into distance. And they learn how to adjust. Not because they are dramatic or weak, but because the house is teaching them how to survive inside it. Eventually, what the child learns about the house becomes what the child learns about themselves. What the house teaches. A stable home teaches a child that safety can be expected. An unstable home teaches something different, that safety must be monitored. When addiction shapes the emotional environment, consistency becomes unreliable. A parent may be present one moment and emotionally unreachable the next. Promises may be made sincerely, and then broken. Reactions may feel unpredictable. The child adapts. They become observant. They notice hesitation before a response, changes in tone, and what goes unspoken. These details become information. Over time, the child begins organizing themselves around what they observe. They shrink their needs, avoid adding stress, and become helpful, quiet, responsible, or invisible. From the outside, this often looks like maturity. But what appears to be maturity is often adaptation. The child is not simply growing up. They are learning how to live inside instability. How the child learns. No one teaches a child how to read a room like this. They learn through repetition, through living in an environment where emotional shifts happen without warning. They notice patterns. The difference between ordinary quiet and tension, the way a voice changes after a difficult day, and how conversations shift around certain topics. These patterns become a kind of language, and the child becomes fluent in it. Over time, this awareness becomes automatic. They scan environments quickly, detect emotional changes, and adjust their behavior without thinking. What others might call intuition is often something learned much earlier. It is the result of living in a space where stability cannot be assumed. When the problem becomes you, children are not born believing something is wrong with them. They learn it. In early development, children depend entirely on caregivers for safety, connection, and meaning. When that environment becomes unstable, the child's mind tries to make sense of what they are experiencing. Because children are wired to depend on their caregivers, they often arrive at one conclusion: the problem must be me. This belief feels safer than the alternative. It is less frightening to believe, I am the problem, than to believe, the people who are supposed to protect me cannot. So, the mind adapts. Instead of recognizing instability in the environment, the child begins internalizing blame. The difference between guilt and shame. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Shame says, there is something wrong with me. Guilt focuses on behavior. Shame targets the identity. Children growing up in unstable environments often absorb messages that shape this internal narrative. A broken promise becomes, I expected too much. A parent's anger becomes, I did something wrong. Emotional distance becomes, I must be difficult to love. Over time, these experiences accumulate, and a belief begins forming beneath the surface. Something about me is not enough. The exhaustion of proving your worth as children carrying shame grow into adulthood. Many begin trying to prove their value. Some become overachievers, working harder than those around them and striving to excel. Others become people pleasers, focusing on meeting everyone else's needs while ignoring their own. Some avoid attention altogether, believing invisibility is safer than risk. Each of these responses is driven by the same belief: I need to earn my place. But no amount of success can silence shame, because shame is not based on reality. It is based on a story the mind learned long ago. The war within. This is the internal conflict many carry. On one side is the person they have become, capable, functioning, surviving. On the other is the voice shaped during childhood, the one that questions their worth, expects rejection, and quietly asks, am I enough? This tension often continues even when life becomes stable, even when relationships are healthy, and even when success is present. The conflict remains. Understanding the origin of shame. Shame did not appear randomly. It was formed during moments when a child was trying to understand what did not make sense. It was not a personality trait. It was an adaptation, a way for the mind to create meaning in an environment that felt confusing and unsafe. Understanding this changes everything. Because it reveals something important. The story shame tells is not the truth. It is a story the mind once needed to survive. And stories can change. If you or anyone you know could benefit from this book, please go to Amazon.com to order it. To celebrate the launch of this book, you can find it on Kindle for 99 cents. Your voice is a lighthouse towards someone else's healing, and reviews help others find resources. If you would be so kind to write a review after you have read the material, it would be greatly appreciated. The book has a built-in workbook to guide you in your journey. Thank you so much, Alicia Lynch.